What is up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel. So if you are somebody who works in the gig economy, if you're somebody who owns a small business, if you're somebody who is a side hustler, if any of these things describe you, then this is the video that you need to watch, because I'm going to be going through the exact aid, the exact government programs, and the exact grants and loans that you qualify for as somebody who is self-employed or somebody who is participating in the gig economy. So let's get started. Now, this is a question that I get asked probably 20 to 30 times a day amongst all of my social media platforms. I get it asked on Instagram, I get it asked in the YouTube comments, I get it emailed to me. It's a question that I am constantly getting that I finally felt like I needed to make a video addressing this specifically. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about a wide variety of different people. If you are somebody who is self-employed, maybe you have an LLC, you have some employees, but your business is small, then I'm talking to you. Maybe you're somebody who drives for the gig economy. Maybe you have an Instacart account. Maybe you drive for Uber. Maybe you drive for Lyft. Then I'm talking to you as well. Maybe you're somebody who has a Shopify store. You sell things on the side, but you don't have a proper LLC form. You don't have a business checking account. It's just something casual. I could be talking to you as well. Or maybe you're somebody who hosts on platforms like Airbnb or Turo. Maybe you're somebody who does freelancing with platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. If any of these things remotely describe you and how you make your money, then this is the video for you. So basically, a good rule of thumb to determine whether or not I'm talking to you in this video is if you have a way that you make money that doesn't include a traditional 9-to-5, then there's a chance that these aid programs, these grants, and these loans may qualify for you and your business or your income stream. So with that, let's dig into the very first program, which is the PPP, or the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, many of you guys watching this video know what the PPP is. There are probably a lot of you who received funds from the first round of PPP funding. And what the PPP is it was a program implemented in the CARES Act to help businesses pay their staff and to help keep staff and employees out of unemployment. This is a program that has been accredited for the fact that unemployment has been pretty decent, all things considered. And it's been a program that a lot of businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs have leaned into, and it's been super helpful. Well, with this newest $900 billion stimulus package, the PPP is coming back, and it's considered the PPP2 funding. Now, the way that the PPP works is that the amount of money that you are eligible for is determined by a formula outlined and decided on by the SBA. And there are a few different factors taken into account. Basically, a big deciding factor is how much money you spent in payroll cost. And this time around in the PPP2 funding, what industry you're in will also decide the amount of money you're eligible for as well. But I feel as though a common misconception with the PPP is that you have to have a legitimate LLC and you have to have employees in order to qualify, and this simply isn't true. Now, don't get me wrong, the PPP is a bit more tricky to qualify and to get approved for compared to other grant and loan programs that we'll talk about later on in this video. It's not something that everybody will be eligible for, but more people are eligible than they think. But if you're somebody that has a legitimate way that you've made money in the past, maybe you're a 1099 worker, maybe you do side gigs, maybe you have a side hustle, then you could potentially qualify for PPP, especially if you're somebody that has your ducks in a row and you have your tax documents to prove that the income that you're making is actual fact. Now, with this second round of PPP funding, there are a number of different qualifying factors that will determine whether or not you are eligible for PPP funding. But the good news is that in the second round of PPP funding, they'll have two different tiers of qualifying factors. They'll have qualifiers for people who are receiving a second round of PPP funding, and then they'll have a different set of qualifying factors for people who are receiving their first round of PPP funding. That means that there is kind of a larger variety of people that could potentially qualify for PPP2. With that being said, it is important to understand that there's still a lot that we do not know about the PPP. There's a lot of guidance that still needs to be released by the SBA, including the application process, timelines, as well as the forgiveness process that will happen for people who've already received PPP funds. So we are still waiting for a lot of information from the SBA, and until we receive that information, we won't have a full picture on exactly how this program will work. But if you're somebody who's interested in exploring PPP funding, I did make a video breaking down this kind of line by line, talking about what the exact qualifying factors will be. I will link that video down in the description below. And additionally, if you're somebody who's kind of wanting to get ahead of the game and you want to kind of set yourself up to receive PPP2 funds, then you can sign up for alerts through Bluevine. Bluevine does PPP applications. They can facilitate the entire transaction, and they are super easy to use. I'm not affiliated with Bluevine in any way. I just use them as a customer, and I felt like their PPP application the first time around, whenever I was doing it for a video, was super streamlined and super easy to understand. So I will leave a link to Bluevine in the description below as well. The next program that I want to talk about is one that many of us have heard of, and that is unemployment benefits. Now, this is kind of a more non-traditional route, and it definitely isn't accessible and available to everyone. But if you're somebody who has had your income drastically affected because of COVID-19, if you've seen yourself with an income decrease because of COVID, or if you've lost your business because of COVID, or even your side hustle because of COVID, you could qualify for unemployment benefits. A situation, though, where you may not qualify for unemployment is if you're somebody that was participating in the gig economy on like a part-time basis and you have a W-2 job on top of your side gig. If this was the case, you may not qualify for unemployment if you still have that W-2 9-to-5 job, because the fact that you're technically not unemployed, you just lost a stream of income. So really where you'd be able to take advantage of unemployment and where you'd really be able to use it is if you're somebody that was taking part in the gig economy, if you're taking part in side hustles, if you're self-employed on a full-time basis. This is where you can qualify and you can start collecting unemployment benefits. If you're somebody that still has a W-2, then that's where it gets a little bit dicey. The important thing to remember with unemployment is that it does vary state by state because it's something that's controlled by the states. So the process of applying for like me in Texas would be drastically different than somebody who's applying in Florida, than somebody who's applying in California. So I would encourage you to check out your state's workforce commission, and that will give you a lot of guidance on how this application process would work. Additionally, with this newest $900 billion stimulus package, unemployment has been extended to 11 weeks. So it will be going from now until the middle of March, and it will be an additional $300 per week plus the state benefit as well. So this is a substantial amount, especially if you're somebody who has lost or seen a income decrease because of the pandemic. I would certainly recommend checking it out. Worst comes to worst, if the government declines you for whatever reason, at least you know you tried. But I would certainly encourage you to check it out, see if you qualify, and then apply for unemployment benefits through your state's website. The last grant and loan program that I want to talk about is the one that I've talked about most on this channel, and that is the EIDL grant and the EIDL loan. Now, this is something that you guys have shown a ton of interest in the last couple of weeks, and I will continue to do videos on it as I continue to get questions and as new information continues to be released. But what's important to remember about the EIDL grant and the EIDL loan program is that there are kind of two different sections to this program. There is a loan, which is a low interest loan that you do have to pay back, and there is a grant, which is free money. It's money that you could qualify for and you never have to pay that money back. Now, the thing about this program is that there is a lot of qualifying factors this time around that will dictate whether or not you are eligible for either the grant or the loan. And it's important for you to understand that just because you have a side hustle, just because you have a side gig, just because you have a small business does not mean that you will automatically qualify for the grant or for the loan. But you could qualify. Now, I get a lot of questions along the lines of, hey, I have a business that I do on the weekends. It's an LLC, but I just do it part-time. Could I qualify? The answer is yes. I get questions like, I drive for Uber and Lyft part-time on the weekends. Do I qualify? Yes. And a very similar question that I've been getting quite frequently is the question of, I have an income stream. I've been doing this business for quite a while, but I don't have records to show how much money I made or how much money I've lost because of COVID. And the answer to that question of whether or not you'd qualify for EIDL is possibly. With the EIDL program, there are qualifying factors that you have to meet. You have to show a 30% revenue decline in a quarter in 2020 compared to the same quarter in 2019. You have to show that your business was operational before January 31st, 2020. You have to come from a low-income community. You have to be able to show that this is fact, that these things are actual things that apply to your business. And if you meet these standards, along with the other standards that will be outlined by SBA guidelines, then you could absolutely receive both the grant and the loan, or either or. But the important thing to remember is that we do not know the exact details yet, and we're really waiting for SBA guidance. So in summary, if you're somebody who is self-employed, if you're somebody who has a gig job, if you're somebody who participates in the gig economy, you could absolutely qualify for unemployment, you could qualify for the PPP, and you could qualify for the EIDL loan as well as the EIDL grant. But the big thing to remember is that just because you could qualify does not mean you will qualify. Really, I would say the thing that I want you to take away from this video is that when in doubt, apply. The worst thing that can happen is that you'll be denied. And if you're denied, it's not the end of the world. You just take the denial and you move on. But if you don't apply and you could have been approved, then you miss out on a really great opportunity and you miss out on a really great way to get some extra funding in these hard times. I, of course, will be providing more information to you guys as the SBA releases guidelines, as they release more information. But remember that it doesn't hurt to apply. And if you don't know whether or not you'll qualify, I would still encourage you to apply just to be safe. Additionally, the other tip that I have for you guys in the meantime, while we're waiting for SBA guidance, I would encourage you to get your ducks in a row financially. I would encourage you to start making P&L documents. I am willing to bet that the EIDL program will require some sort of financial statement. In fact, this is almost guaranteed given the language in this $900 billion stimulus package. So I would encourage you to figure out a way to make a P&L statement. Make one for 2019, make one for 2020. That way, once the SBA asks for proof of a 30% gross decline, you can present it to them in a timely manner. Additionally, taxes and filing your taxes. Getting all of that financial kind of clerical work out of the way will certainly help your chances of getting approved and having all of the documentation that you need in order to receive PPP or EIDL grant or the EIDL loan. So that is what I encourage you guys to work on in the meantime while we're waiting to receive more SBA guidance. But like always, you guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.